Welcome back to English 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Intermediate.
Bienvenidos, welcome back. Yes, and welcome to Intermediate, Class 36. Yeah, Intermediate, Class 36. Starting with a little review of what we saw yesterday, I think we should start with a review. I think it would be a good idea. I thought about this yesterday. I thought about this verb, the verb to think. Yes, to think. Every day I think. Yesterday I thought. To think. Think with that strong K sound. Think. Okay? Think. And in the past, thought. You have to pronounce that T. Okay? Did you think he was your friend? Yes, I thought. I thought he was my friend. Did you think about what he might say? So we have to think about. In my Canadian accent, about, I say. And everyone else would say about. About. I say about. But to think about something is to think on a certain topic. Okay? Whereas we have several phrasal verbs here with the verb to think. To think up implies invention. Okay? Involves finding a solution by thinking. So we can say we have to think up a solution. To think up something. Whereas to think about is to think on a specific topic. Or think of. We have to think of an answer. Because there are answers that exist, and we have to essentially choose one through thought. We have to think of an answer. We have to think of a solution. We have to think up a new solution. So think up implies invention, whereas think about is to just think on a topic, and to think of is essentially choosing through thought. Okay? Did you think we would be there? Yes. So give me an answer out loud. Yes, I thought you would be there. I thought you would be there. Now we also have to think that, which is essentially optional. Think that. Did you think Real Madrid was going to win? Did you think that Real Madrid was going to win? Yes, I thought that they were going to win. I thought that they were going to win. I thought they were going to win. It's the same. Do you think you had enough time? Or did you? Did you think you had enough time? Yes, I thought I had enough time. Did he think he knew the solution? Yes, he thought. He thought he knew the solution. But in the end, he didn't. Did they think of a solution? Yes, they thought of a solution. Did they think up a solution creatively? Yes, they thought up a solution. Did they think of an answer? They thought of an answer. Did they think of a way to make the boss happy? Sometimes that's very important. Did they think of a way to make the boss happy? Yes, they thought of a way to make the boss happy. They thought of a way to make him happy. Sure. Okay. Now we talked about as much. As much. Do I have as much time? Do I have as much free time as a retired person? No. No, Kyle, you don't have as much free time as a retired person. No. Does Toledo have as much traffic as Madrid? Does Toledo have as much traffic as Madrid? No. Toledo doesn't have as much traffic as Madrid. It does not have as much traffic. So we're talking about non-countable things, uncountable or non-countable nouns here. Does Toledo have as much traffic? No, it doesn't have as much traffic. It has less traffic. It doesn't have as much. So we prefer this negative comparison. It doesn't have as much. It may be slightly more complicated, but it's very common. It's much more common to say that Toledo doesn't have as much traffic as Madrid. It's much more common to say that than it is to say Toledo has less traffic. but both are correct, and both are true. Do you have as much power as the president? Do you have as much power as the president? No. No, Kyle, I don't have as much power as the president. He has much more power than I do. Political power, at least. Yes. Do you have as much money? Excuse me, I have a question here. Do you have as much money as Tom Cruise? No. No, I don't have as much money as Tom Cruise. Does Spain have as much sand as Saudi Arabia? No. Spain doesn't have as much sand as Saudi Arabia. No, certainly not. Spain doesn't have as much sand as Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. It doesn't have as much oil as Saudi Arabia as well. Well, either. It doesn't have as much oil, no. Spain has more olive oil, aceite de oliva. Spain has more olive oil than Saudi Arabia. But when we say oil, we're talking about crude oil, petroleum. Is there as much pollution in Extremadura as in Madrid? No, there isn't as much pollution in Extremadura as in Madrid. Do you drink as much wine as your father? No, I don't drink as much wine as my father. No, I don't. Do Canadians drink as much wine as Spaniards? Do Canadians drink as much wine as Spaniards? No. No, they don't. Canadians don't drink as much wine as Spaniards. Maybe they drink beer. Well, I don't know if they drink as much beer as Spaniards either. Different. I don't know. It's a different thing. I think maybe Spaniards drink more beer, or they drink beer more frequently, I think, than Canadians. Do Spaniards drink as much beer as the Germans? Now, notice I can say, do Spaniards, Spanish people. Or I can also say, do the Spanish drink as much beer as the Germans? Do Spaniards drink as much beer as Germans? No. Spaniards don't drink as much beer as Germans. Germans drink a lot of beer. They do.
Word of the day.
All right, yes, it's time for our word of the day. Yes, our word of the day today, very interesting. Langosta de mar. Langosta de mar. How do you say this in English? Langosta. We say in English, lobster. Lobster. Very interesting. Lobster. And you have bogavante, which is slightly different from langosta. But in English, we have lobster. So lobster has two claws. Well, it has several legs, we say, and claws, and it has a shell. And you have to crack the shell to remove the meat. Some people like the meat. I think the meat inside the claw. If you get the big claw, I think the meat inside the big claw, or one of the big claws, is the tastiest, is the best meat in the lobster. And then we also have the green paste inside called tamale, which I think is from the intestine, which I don't particularly enjoy, but some people consider it a delicacy. Yes, it's a green paste, but I like the meat inside the claws the best in the lobster. And lobster is something that's very, very common where I come from. I come from the Atlantic coast of Canada, the East Coast, which produces some of the best lobster in the world from my province, Nova Scotia, on the East Coast, down what they call the Eastern Seaboard, down the East Coast to Boston, Massachusetts, and that off the coast there, basically from Boston up to my province, is known to produce the best lobster because the water is cold, so the shell grows thicker, and it adds a different texture and flavor to the meat inside the lobster. And I have a lot of friends who fish for lobster, and they use a trap. So they throw the traps into the water, and they have a bait, cebo, a bait, inside the trap, and the trap sinks to the bottom of the ocean. And they go out to collect the traps, to pull the traps early in the morning. They go out at about 5 o'clock in the morning before the ocean, before the waves get too big, and they pull the traps and they remove the lobster from the traps. And the lobster is very abundant in my region, and it's a very interesting profession. It's a dangerous profession. Imagine going out in the winter in Canada, because certain regions, the licenses for fishing lobster stipulate, right? They stipulate the region, so the area that you're allowed to fish in, and they also stipulate the number of traps that you can have and the season in which you can fish. So, for example, a license may say 100 traps in a certain area during a certain period of the year. So if you have the right to fish in that area, well, you're going to go every day and pull your traps every day to try to maximize maximize your catch and maximize the profitability of your business operation during the season in which you can fish. So, so the lobster, depending on the season, but they often fish lobster in the winter. So imagine in Canada, off the east coast of Canada in the ocean, they fish in January and February. So imagine, December and January at least, and imagine fishing for lobster, and maybe it's 10 degrees, 15 degrees below zero, and you're out on the ocean, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, it's still dark, and you're pulling lobster traps. So it's a cold job, it's a tough job. But when conditions are good, the fishermen can make good money. We say make good money. It can be very profitable when the conditions are right. But when conditions are not good, and when the price goes down, the price is established by a market in Boston, establishes the price. And when the price goes down, the price per pound or per kilogram of lobster meat goes down, well, the fishermen aren't doing so well. And in fact, in my region, this is true, McDonald's, depending on the price, but McDonald's restaurants will buy lobster meat in my region and sell it at McDonald's. You can get seasonally, at the right time of year, you can buy lobster at McDonald's. It's called McLobster. It's true. You get a McLobster sandwich. You go down to McDonald's, instead of your Big Mac, you get like a hamburger, but instead of beef, you have lobster inside there, and your French fries and your Coca-Cola. Why not? McLobster. It's true. In Atlantic Canada, if you ever go to Atlantic Canada, if you're lucky and it's the right time of year, you can try it. Let's move on. Talking about as many now. Are there as many people? So here we are with countable nouns. Are there as many people in Spain as in France? No. There aren't as many people in Spain as in France. Are there as many cars in Aranjuez as in Madrid? No. So make sure. Answer me out loud en voz alta. Are there as many cars in Aranjuez as in Madrid? No. There aren't as many cars in Aranjuez as in Madrid. Are there as many snowstorms in Spain as in Canada? No. There aren't as many snowstorms in Spain as in Canada. Are there as many Eskimos in Hawaii as in Alaska? No. There aren't as many Eskimos in Hawaii as in Alaska. Does Canada have as many olive trees as Andalusia? No. Canada does. Repeat out loud. I want to hear you. No. Canada doesn't have as many olive trees, olivos, olive trees, as Andalusia. Does Spain have as many cities as China? No. Spain doesn't have as many cities as China. No. Are there as many people here in this office that I'm in now, in the radio studio, as there are in the stadium? No. There aren't as many people here as in the stadium, or as there are in the stadium. Does the Santiago Bernabéu have as many seats as the Camp Nou? Does it have as many seats? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't have as many seats as the Camp Nou. No. Do you have as many servants as the king? No, I don't have as many servants as the king. All right, very good. As many as. Very good.
Vocabulary of the day.
Yes, it is time for the vocabulary of the day. Time now for our vocabulary. ¿Cómo se dice en inglés? Empeorarse. Empeorarse. To get worse. Yes, to get worse. Dirigir. To manage. Very good, to manage. Eficacia. Effectiveness. Effectiveness. Does it get the job done? Is it effective? Does it accomplish the goal? Yes, it's effective. Effectiveness, the noun, effectiveness. Pulpo. Octopus. Right, very good. Octopus. Octopus. Después. Afterwards. Good. Afterwards. After. It's like after or afterwards. We'll go to dinner and then afterwards we'll go see a movie, for example. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear what I'm saying? Yes, it's time to practice the verb to hear. Are you listening to me? Escuchando. Hear, oír. Listen, escuchar. Did you hear the news today? We say. Did you hear the news today? Did you hear the news about the about what happened? Oh, it was very important news. Did you hear it? To hear. Every day I hear. Yesterday I heard. The verb to hear. Okay? Sometimes you hear things, but you're not listening. I can hear sounds sometimes in the room next to me. I can hear sounds, but I'm not listening. I'm listening to my students. Or I'm listening to the radio show now through the headphones that I'm wearing. That's what I'm listening to, but I can still hear other sounds sometimes. So to hear is to notice a sound, whereas to listen is to make the effort. Maybe you notice the sound or not. Sometimes I'm listening to someone, but I can't hear what they're saying because they're not speaking loud enough. Okay? Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Did you hear me yesterday? Yes, I heard you yesterday. Did you hear the show yesterday? Yes, I heard the show yesterday. Okay, I'm glad you heard the show yesterday, and I'm glad you heard the show today because we're completely out of time. So thank you so much for listening. We'll be back after the break with the advanced class, so stick around and we'll be back with more for you, the intermediate students, tomorrow, same time, same place. Thanks, and see you soon. Bye-bye.